Hey guys, Chicken and Maine, Deboo.com with a Deboo.com surf forecast update. This forecast update effective around 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, October 5th, 2016, and starts you off with the latest 5 p.m. National Hurricane Center forecast track for Hurricane Matthew. National Hurricane Center showing a possible Category 4 hurricane along the central Florida coast over the next 48 to 72 hours. Please visit the National Hurricane Center at www.hurricane.gov for all official watches and warnings. If watches and warnings are issued for your area, please heed the advice of your state, local, and county emergency officials. Okay, guys, hurricane warnings are in effect from South Florida, basically Palm Beach County, on up through here just to south of Volusia, including Okeechobee. Hurricane watches in effect now extend all the way into southern South Carolina. All of the Bahamas are under a hurricane warning. Tropical storm warning for the southern tip of Florida into the Florida Keys. And if you look over here, this yellow line, we are now with a tropical storm watch on the West Florida coast. Now that is because Matthew is expected to expand and the wind field become greater. We're going to show you this here in just a few moments now. I'm going to switch you over to the NOAA's National Hurricane Center 48-hour wind wave forecast. Guys, this is not hype. Look right here to the top left in your image. That's the NOAA stamp. NOAA showing Hurricane Matthew with winds 115 knots, gusts to 140. Guys, that's 130 to 140 mile an hour winds with seas increasing to 40 feet. There is the possibility of a catastrophic event on Central Florida. That's no hype, guys. This is here. This is the official out of the National Hurricane Center. Seas increasing to 40 feet. Winds of 130 to 140 miles an hour is a Category 4 on the Saffir-Simpson scale. Going to show you in a wind map here, and this is for Friday from 7 to 12 p.m. This particular model is showing a landfalling hurricane, Hurricane Matthew, on the central Florida coast. Guys, this is a very serious situation. We talked about this yesterday. I want to go back to the National Hurricane Center's 5 p.m. forecast map. If you saw our video yesterday, and we talked about that loop, the National Hurricane Center now has that loop, at least the beginning arcing of it. Now, there is some good news out of the European model. The European model continues to show the loop, but eventually picks the system up and then sends it out to sea. We'll show you that in the model run. It's one run of many more to come. The GFS, although has followed suit behind the Euro, is showing a little bit different solution with the eventual outcome of Hurricane Matthew. Going to switch you over now to that GFS, and we're going to back this up now. And so this is going into Friday and the weekend, guys. Matthew coming out of the Bahamas. Possible eye wall touch in there on the north central Florida coast, up in here towards central Florida. And this system, according to the GFS, is going to ride up the coast. Could be inland or just offshore. Up in here towards northeast Florida. Up off the South Carolina coast and then exiting back over open water. And then now the GFS actually takes the turn back to the south a little sooner and drops it back down towards the central Florida coast. Now, guys, it doesn't take a eye wall to make landfall, because any little jog of just merely 25 miles to the left could mean the difference between a catastrophic outcome and a non-catastrophic outcome. It's about 48 hours left for people to prepare. Less than that, really, 24 hours, because that's a 48-hour forecast before that gets to that position. So time is running short. The margin of error in the models is significantly less at 48 hours than it is at 120, which is 5 days. Gonna switch you over now to a look at the Euro model. And this is the Euro coming out of the Bahamas. 952 millibar, Category 4 hurricane on the central Florida coast up towards South Carolina. This particular model is showing a possible eye wall touch on the South Carolina coast versus the GFS having the eye wall off the coast. European model up towards the Outer Banks with a 985 millibar low. That would be a weakening trend, but still nothing to play with. Folks in the Outer Banks, this is starting to turn from yesterday's a little bit more for you guys to pay attention to. I would say that you guys need to be prepared all along from the Outer Banks all the way in here to South Carolina. Please be making your preparations now. Get ahead of the curve, guys. Be prepared. And then the European model, which this is out of your frame, but this is the outer edge of Hurricane Matthew. We'll give you a little bit different look at the European model. By the way, the European model over the last 7 days, I saw a tweet earlier today. Over the last 7 days, the European model, not only as far as location but intensity, has handled Hurricane Matthew almost to a T. So we're going to stick with the European model on this. And here we go. Here's Hurricane Matthew off the South Florida coast, next 24 hours. 48 hours as a possible Category 4 hurricane into central Florida. 72 hours up on the South Carolina coast. Up underneath the Outer Banks. There's Nicole to the southeast there. And then the European model drops Matthew back towards the Bahamas, lifts him up to the north a little bit, and then now is when he starts to go off to sea. Now, I've been getting some flack about surf forecasts. Everybody wants to know, when is the surf coming? I'm supposed to be a surf forecast. Guys, when we're talking about a catastrophic event like this, or possible catastrophic event like this, surf is the last thing I really want to be talking about. The only thing you need to know is when the winds are going to go offshore for the cleanup. And this is Friday morning. If you want to try and go out there and go catch some offshore winds at 35 to 40 knots to 50 knots because you think that it's going to clean up and it's going to be going off, hey man, have at it. This is Saturday. Offshore winds, central Florida coast, up in here, and then strong onshore flow into South Carolina. Down here towards Palm Beach, if there's any swell left, because the thing was so close to the coast, it's liable to get blown down very quickly. You might have one day of clean surf, not expecting anything epic because this thing has hugged the coast like this. There may be a short window when the surf may be good. This is different than a Category 1 hurricane, guys. A Category 1 hurricane coming up the coast, man, I'd be saying, yeah, man, let's go surfing, let's do all that. But this is a possible Category 4 hurricane, guys. I'm going to advance this wind model up for you just a little bit more because here is where the strong onshore flow, now this is the GFS, as the GFS drops Matthew back down east of northeast Florida, we get into a strong onshore flow again. And we could be dealing with Matthew, according to the GFS, for days on end because on Monday, GFS moves it back down into the central Florida coast. And this is the worst fear, guys, because like we pointed out in yesterday's video, once Matthew comes up this way, there's going to be extensive power outages, down trees, all of those things we discussed. But because the GFS now brings this in here, guys, this is tropical storm force winds, 43 knots. The crews aren't going to go outside and work in that. You could be out of power for days on end. I hope everybody heeded the warning, and I hope everyone is going to be safe. I don't know what I'm going to do. For those of you who don't know, I'm in Northeast Florida. I live on the beach. I'm 100 yards, maybe 50 yards from the ocean, and I'm facing evacuation just like everybody else. Guys, we're going to try and do one more update tomorrow. I don't know how long we'll have tomorrow. We'll try and do another update, but then on Friday, I've got to make some decisions on where I'm going and what I'm doing. That's all we got for you for now, guys. Stay tuned for the next update.